Hi everyone, I'm Ebony. I'm one of the speech pathologists here at Prosper. Today I'm in the Sterling office and I wanted to talk to you about my blog post for this month, which is about autistic and non-autistic children and some of their differences in play and conversation. So if you're a parent of an autistic child, you've probably already noticed there's some differences in how your child plays and engages compared to maybe other children or their siblings even. And for the purposes of today, I'm going to use two hypothetical children. Emma, who's a young girl not diagnosed with autism or neurotypical, and Liam, a young boy who is diagnosed with autism or neurodivergent, as we might call him. So if we were to observe these two children playing with some, let's say, dolls or a tea party set, with Emma, the child without autism, we might notice that she likes to create quite elaborate stories, have the dolls talking to each other back and forth. Her play might seem quite creative and changing quite drastically or changing quite frequently as she goes. And then if we had Liam playing with the same toys, we might notice that he has a preference to be more engaged in like the toy themselves and how it works and kind of what fits together and what he could do with them, rather than a narrative or a story to go with them. He might prefer to have them quite ordered or line them up or put them in a specific spot. He might prefer to do the same play sequence over and over again. And these two children in the same room, we might notice that Liam might be comfortable watching Emma play, maybe taking some of her ideas that he likes, but he might not be so inclined to jump in and join in on the play and collaborate with her like perhaps a non-autistic child might. So they have two different kind of play styles. Both are valid and both are fine to do. Both of them, they're having fun, so that's the most important part about play. But you might just notice there's some of those differences between the two, and we would expect that because the two of them have brains that are wired differently, who enjoy different things and experience the world in a different way. There's also those kinds of similarities or those differences that we see in conversation as well. So for Emma, the non-autistic child, she might be very socially motivated to have conversations. It's about that back and forth, that give and take, asking questions, giving answers, and she might find those conversations really fun and be motivated to engage in those. Whereas a child like Liam, an autistic child, he might find those conversations maybe a little bit too fast, a little bit overwhelming. You know, conversations are quite unexpected. We don't know exactly what somebody's going to say. So it's hard to predict, and that can be overwhelming for an autistic child. He might prefer to play a bit more on his own and do his own thing. And when he wants to engage in a conversation, it might be more so because he has something really interesting he wants to share, or an experience that he finds fascinating, or there's a topic that he's really knowledgeable on that he wants to communicate with somebody else. But you probably are going to see some differences in when and where these two children start conversations and why they start conversations, which is again something we would expect for two children that one is diagnosed with autism and the other isn't. Again, they've got two different brains, they've got two different ways of, I suppose, experiencing the world and their social interactions. Speech therapy that's neuroaffirming doesn't look to try and change the autistic child to match all their peers and siblings that are non-autistic. It's about helping them understand themselves and giving them some tools that they might want to make conversation or to make play a little bit easier if they're wanting to engage a little bit more, helping them to kind of demystify what's going on around them, but also helping them to explain and advocate for themselves to their friends about why they might do things a little bit differently, and that's, you know, just how they like to do it. So it's important, I think, for parents to understand the differences in the play and in the conversation preferences between these two kinds of children, autistic children and non-autistic, because it's not easy, or it's quite hard if you're going to try and fit one into the other or force them to be quite alike. So understanding those differences is quite important. As always, here at Prosper, if you would like any support with this or support for your child, you can always reach out to us and speak to someone on the team. We're always willing to help you if you require it.